Bridget Harris was born on the 6th of June 1991 in Staten Island, New York, to parents Eric Goodridge and Lucy Ann Harris, who immigrated from Liberia to the United States. Eric had several businesses, including an import-export company, a record store, and a travel agency. Lucy already had 2 children and went on to have 4 more with Eric. However, when Bridget was born, Eric denied she was his child. Eric was no longer satisfied with his home life and eventually left the family for another woman.
Dang, Eric.
Lucy, now left with 6 children, struggled to raise them alone. And in 1983, when Bridget was just 2 years old, Lucy left her 6 children and returned to Liberia to attend her grandfather's funeral. However, as she didn't have a green card or citizenship, and despite leaving 6 children behind, she was not allowed to return to the US.
Yo, that is crazy. So now we're already setting this story up. Dad left the family for another woman, so dad's gone. Mom literally left the country. I don't know if it was intentional. Like, did she know she wasn't going to be able to come back? Either way, mom left the country. So now we're starting to see why this lady ended up turning out to be crazy.
The 6 children bounced around from foster home to foster home. Bridget and her siblings eventually moved in with her father and his wife. However, in 1990, Eric took a temporary job back in Liberia.
Oh my God, why does the family keep leaving? Yo, the parents both have left like back to back, bro.
Which extended for several months.
So they're living with the stepmom
Eric's
now.
wife grew tired of him and filed for a divorce.
I would imagine she got left with his kids, unless the kids went with him to Liberia. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure they stayed there.
The children were sent to live with their aunt, Eric's sister, and grandma, Eric's mum, in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, brother. So they done been into like 10 different houses already.
Bridget's grandma was described as mean and hateful and didn't have an ounce of love in her body. She showed favoritism and treated them like slaves, while her cousin...
I don't want to say that because I'm not African. I don't even want to like put that out there as if I know. I don't know, but I know. With like older African American grandparents, it's either hit or miss. They're either really loving and really sweet or really mean. A lot of times from my situation, from what I've learned, most of my great-grandparents and grandparents were kind of mean to their kids and are really nice to their grandkids. So I don't know. It's hit or miss.
Cousins sat around doing nothing and would beat them severely for the slightest thing. On one occasion, someone had forgot to flush a toilet and left a big turd floating, which Bridget got the blame for.
Yeah, her vocabulary.
Bridget's grandmother went berserk, grabbed Bridget by the collar and stripped her naked.
She looking at me like I did it.
Bridget had no idea why she was in trouble. Whilst her cousins watched, her grandmother took a stick and beat her so hard it split her skin.
Oh my gosh.
You would think that was enough. However, her grandmother wasn't satisfied with beating and bruising Bridget. She went on to tell Bridget to bend over and poured red pepper sauce into her butt. Then continued to cut.
Yo, what the... I ain't gonna lie, this is a psychopath. The grandmother isn't even like a crazy abusive. She's just a psychopath. Pour hot sauce in her bum, bro.
Cover every part of her split skin in pepper sauce.
That's painful. Yo, this is torture. Yo, this is crazy.
On another occasion,
bro, sometimes I just be watching these videos and I realize how blessed I am. Like, I feel bad, bro.
Her grandmother, again like angry with Bridget, threw a phone and hit Bridget in the mouth and broke her front tooth. When she took Bridget to the hospital, she told her to tell the nurses she had fallen off her bike. In February 1994, at the age of 12, Bridget and her siblings went back to Liberia and reunited with their mother.
Thank God.
Bridget was excited to meet her mother, as she believed she would now receive genuine love and acceptance. However, she couldn't have been more wrong.
Oh my God.
After about 2 weeks, Bridget and her siblings began to feel ignored. Bridget soon came to the realization that her mother didn't care. Bridget contracted malaria and was in hospital for 2 weeks. Her mother didn't visit her as she said she had a church revival to attend. Once again, her mother abandoned her, and Bridget was again living with relatives.
I'm not saying what she did is right, but her life is like one of the worst you can have, bro. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna hear more.
However, living in Liberia was a culture shock for her and her siblings, as Liberia was going through a civil war that worsened in 1996.
Jesus Christ. Their life has been like anything from
Somehow, Bridget's mother got documents proving her children were American citizens and they were airlifted back to the US. Once back in the US, Bridget again bounced around from relative to relative and ended up in a women's shelter. She also traveled back and forth between Liberia and the US. Eventually, in 2007, Bridget finally found a place of her own with no one to answer to.
Thank God.
She had made new friends and was working as a security guard in JF Kennedy Airport and was no longer in contact with her father. However, not long after moving into her apartment, her father, Eric, called. Bridget had no interest in talking to him and told him to lose her number. Eric's health was failing, and in June of 2007, he returned to the US to seek better medical treatment. His daughter Carleen allowed him to stay with her. Bridget wasn't happy that her father was now living with her sister. Carleen tried to convince Bridget to forgive their father as he was trying to make amends.
No, it's too late, bro. I mean, it's not too late. It's never too late. In a perfect world, it's never too late. But like, bruh, you allowed your kids to go through all this trauma.
Although Eric was a well-respected entrepreneur in his community, behind closed doors, Eric was a monster. He had put Bridget through years of rape and
oh my God.
He would pretend to play games with her by bouncing her on his knees, then go on to perform acts that no 3-year-old should ever have to go through.
How do people get so sick in the mind to do things
like this? This animal first penetrated his daughter Bridget at the age of 3. Then at the age of 4, he forced her to perform acts on him.
Oh my God.
The continued throughout.
I ain't gonna lie, this is a tough watch. I should have skimmed through it before I watched it, bro. This is a tough watch.
Her childhood and into her teens, becoming more and more violent over the years. On one occasion, while Bridget was in Liberia, he hid her passport so she couldn't leave and refused to return it. Bridget told her mother what Eric had been doing to her for years. Lucy decided to tell a pastor that Eric had been in her daughter, but nothing was done. This God-fearing man, this pastor, looked the other way and suddenly became unavailable due to his busy pastoral commitments.
Oh my God, see? And then this is what I mean by, because I'm a Christian. I'm not trying to like throw out my religious belief, but this is type things that, which I don't know what type of pastor he is, but the most common I would assume is Christianity. But these type of things is what make religion and different things look bad, because people like these are not religious people. These are monsters, bro. And I hate people that hide behind like, man, it makes the whole...
Eric was a well-respected businessman. They didn't want to believe that he was a monster.
Oh my God.
She bravely fought him off the last time he tried to rape her. Whilst fighting him off, he dared to ask Bridget what was wrong.
What you mean? What is wrong?
Bridget, now older, left Liberia for the last time and distanced herself from her father. However, she did feel some remorse as she had left her younger sister behind and knew he was her. She also suspected Carlene had been abused. However, when Bridget talked about it, Carlene would change the subject. But now he was back in the US and wanted to make amends. Bridget's sister Carlene invited her for a family dinner and told her her father would be there and that he wanted to apologize.
Oh.
Bridget agreed to attend the family dinner and took a 2-hour subway and ferry ride to Carlene's home in Staten Island. Bridget arrived. This was the first time she had seen Eric in years, and she was immediately angered by what she saw. Eric was bouncing her niece on his leg just like he used to.
Sicko. He just
do
wants
to
to be back in
her
their
as a
life.
child.
He is sick.
Not only did she find that disturbing, but her father announced that he wanted to take Carlene's daughter back to Liberia.
No,
This
man.
triggered Bridget. She was furious. She couldn't let this happen. She loved her nieces and refused to let what's happened to her as a child happen to them.
As she should. This is all justified so far, in my opinion.
Bridget and her sister argued. She didn't trust Eric and couldn't understand why Carlene would agree to such a thing. However, in Carlene's mind, he was an old, sick man.
And it's a baby. The baby can't even fight off of, like, she can't fight off no one. He's an old, sick man that's desperate. He's a weird, sick, old man. He can do whatever he wants to a baby. The baby can't fight him off. So it don't matter if he's an old, sick man or a young man. He could do, like...
He would do what he had done to them growing up. Bridget's mind was now flooded with flashbacks of an abuse she had suffered by Eric and other relatives. He had to be stopped. Bridget wanted to go to the police and report what Eric had done to her. However, the statute of limitations had passed. She searched the web for a solution and came across the case of Lorena Bobbitt, a woman who had cut off her husband's penis as she claimed he had abused her for years. Bridget knew what she had to do to stop Eric.
Oh my gosh.
On Wednesday, the 25th of July,
and now she's gonna go to jail for a long time because what is it when you're planning out a murder? Well, it wasn't, I don't know, because she doesn't have the intent to take his life. She just wants to cut, zucchini. I don't know. Would that be premeditated murder? Or would that be like, I don't know.
3 days before she would see her father again, Bridget set up a camcorder, aimed it at herself and started recording. She said, "My name is Bridget Harris, and this is the story of my life. Well, not the whole thing. It will take too long. Just the summary reasons. Why I'm doing what I'm about to do. Why I feel I have to do it. Why it must be done. Why I've waited this long to do it. And so you can judge me. But before you do, get the whole story. That's all I ask." A few days later, Bridget invited her father to her apartment. She wanted to talk to him about the years of abuse he had put her through. She wanted him to know that what he did to her was not okay. As a child, Eric had always tried to convince her that what he was doing was normal.
What?
And this is what all fathers do to their daughters.
No!
Bridget told him she remembered the first time he hit her. His response was, "How do you even remember that when you were only 3 years old?"
Because it was a terrible moment for her.
Bridget began to get angry.
This is terrible.
He didn't appear shocked by what she said and didn't deny it. Bridget also spoke about when he forced her to have at the age of 4. Eric began to make excuses and was not admitting to what.
So he couldn't even like man up to it and be like, "I'm sorry, I was sick in the head and I had problems," which that wouldn't cover it. There's nothing he could say that's going to make it sound good, but he's not even trying to make it sound good.
Done, which was pissing Bridget off. She eventually told him that she had invited him to her apartment to ask him not to take her nieces to Liberia. She told him she knew his intention and he needed to stop. And since he wanted to make amends, here was his chance. However, Eric denied ever doing anything wrong. Bridget was now in a rage and screaming at him, calling him...
Not gonna lie, like, the story is good. I'm listening to the story, but this background fight is like, not gonna lie, it's kind of perfect. Like, I'm into it, like, right now.
...a liar and telling him that he knew what he had done. Bridget realized that he was not going to change and knew her nieces were in danger. She was going to stop him one way or another. She was going to take away his weapon, and that weapon was his... Bridget was going to ensure he would never hurt a little girl again.
Good, just go ahead. I'm all for it at this point. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds crazy, but I'm all for it at this point. I think he needs to get it cut away. Just bury him under the prison, bro.
Got up and took a step towards her. Bridget pulled out her pepper spray and sprayed him in the eyes.
All right, bet. Now we emotional.
They fought and fell on the floor. Somehow, Eric passes out.
Because he's old.
She looked for a way to restrain him. She found some handcuffs, a novelty she had bought after her friends teased her about her job as a rent-a-cop. She put them on him and noticed he was having trouble breathing. She was in a total panic now, scrambling for a way to revive him. She splashed him with some water and started calling his name. He woke up and started screaming. She decided she had to gag him. She got a towel, stuffed it in his mouth and wrapped duct tape around his head to secure it, leaving large holes so he could breathe. Bridget pulled down his pants. She used scissors at first. When they didn't work, she looked for the scalpels she had purchased from eBay about a month ago.
I'm not gonna lie, this is justified, but scissors? She tried to use scissors to snip through zucchini, bro. Bro, I don't even know how good cutting food is with scissors, so imagine...
To keep him still, she pressed her knee on his windpipe. One cut was enough. To her surprise, there wasn't much blood. Bridget knew that the doctors would try to reattach it if found, and she didn't want that to happen. She brought her father's to the stove and turned on the flames. The smell of burning flesh brought Bridget back to reality. She turned the stove off, put the burnt organ in a paper towel, and called 911, but hung up as she realized she had to leave the apartment first. She picked up the scalpels, pepper spray, scissors, and pills and put them in her backpack, left the apartment, and then called the police. Once again, Bridget hangs up before providing the 911 operator with further information. Police and paramedics arrive and perform CPR, but it was too late. Eric was pronounced dead at the scene. Upon further inspection, they found that Eric's had been cut off. A scalpel was located next to the body, which was determined to be the weapon used. This was not the cause of Eric's death. Eric had been gagged with a towel secured with duct tape, exposing his nose and eyes. However, the gagging reflex little by little grabbed the towel to the back of his throat, which cut off the airway to his nostrils. The cause of death was asphyxiation. 2 notes were also discovered at the crime scene. One said, "He wrecked my life." And the other said, "At first I blamed myself. Now I know it's not my fault." Once again, 911 dispatchers called Bridget and informed her that they needed her to come.
Now, I'll tell you right now, no matter what happens to you in life, you have an option to do good and do wrong. Now, I'm not saying this ain't justified, because I'm with her. I would have crashed out with her. But I'm saying, part of being a big person is to take ownership in the situation and make it good out of it. Y'all get what I'm saying, but it's kind of insensitive in this type of situation. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy.
Come to the
It
police
is his fault
station.
in a big way.
Bridget agreed and told them she was a block away, but didn't show up. Instead, Bridget walked past the police station towards the Broadwalk Pier and threw away the... She called her sister to tell her what she had
That motherfucker swimming with the fishes now, boy.
done, and that she was about to hand herself over to the police. Carlene told her not to go to the police as she feared she would never see her again. Carlene immediately stopped what she was doing and went to meet her sister. When she arrived, Bridget was in
I ain't gonna lie, they using bad pictures though, cause like this picture she doesn't look crazy. The pictures they showed earlier, she didn't look crazy. She looks crazy on this picture, bro.
days. Carlene reached for her sister's hand and noticed blood covering both hands and her lap. Bridget had used a scalpel to cut her wrist. Carlene immediately called 911, and Bridget was admitted into Richmond University Medical Center psychiatric ward for 3 weeks and then placed under arrest. Within 36 hours of the murder, Carlene had hired star defense attorney Arthur Adela. She told the world that both she and Bridget had been victims of a father who had regularly and repeatedly both of them from a very young age.
She got revenge by cutting off his genitals and murdering him. Tonight, the other sister, Carlene Goodridge, is taking a brave stand against her dead father.
Monstrous man.
Preyed upon her, a charge Harris's sister says she knows is true because she also suffered a childhood of being by her father.
After all these years.
See, but then the argument is she didn't go, you know what I'm saying? Her dad, you feel me? So like if she didn't do it, the other one is capable of not doing it. But you know, everybody responds to trauma in different ways.
The only reason I can talk about this now is because it's going to help my sister. She needs help. Myself, it started at about 4 years old till I was about 12 years old. For my sister, probably about 3 years old. Till she was going on 18.
Going on 18.
Till she was going on 18.
That's 15 years of torture, trauma.
This was
A sister breaking her silence today in a bizarre case of family revenge. A case that isn't what it seemed.
Sadly, she dealt with this for so long by herself when I was right there. And I went through the same darn thing.
Crying though, this all happened because you are trying to make amends with this crazy man and sending your kids to the place where he did all this stuff to y'all. He did all these things to y'all. I wouldn't want this nigga in a block radius of my house and my kids, bro. I wouldn't want this nigga in the same state as my kids, let alone country. He can go back to Liberia. Let him go back to Liberia. There's no way that, like, I mean, I know she's feeling hurt and there's a lot going on, but nowhere in your right mind, no matter what trauma, what amends you're trying to make, could have made you feel like your sister was she was crazy after what she did. But I don't think she was crazy. I don't think this was trauma. Bro, that's not crazy for her to not want your dad to be touching on your daughters, taking your daughters to a whole other country after what he did to you. Yo, this is crazy.
With her and did nothing.
What the evidence is going to reveal here is that Bridget Harris was the victim of regular and systematic and by her father from the age of 3 years old right through young adulthood.
Do you think she just broke down?
We all break down.
It was too much.
Of course, you break down with something like this. We broke down a long time ago. At this point, her cries are loud and clear. You know, she needs mental help. She needs to be heard. She needs to finally deal with
walking in and seeing that nigga
way
playing with your kids, bro.
What she's gone through.
Anyone who's been involved in the criminal justice system, as long as I have, and anyone's a New York City person, you could tell that she's someone who's calling out for help.
And as the case will soon be heard by the courts, her lawyer wants to make one thing clear. Her father was a monster, and living with a monster from the age of 3 is something that you just don't recover from without professional help.
However, some family members publicly refuted claims of abuse.
And you know what? I ain't even gonna say what I want to say.
And
Just let
disowned
it sit in my
Bridget
head.
and other family members who communicated with her.
As they left court, Harris's family cast doubt that her father abused her.
I don't think her father molested her.
Such a man. I sort of, man, I'm about, man, yo, big rap, man. I'm gonna just keep all my thoughts to myself, cause mother. I'm not even gonna say it, but what I will say is, it is crazy that there is plenty of situations where, because listen, we'll listen to a lady say a dude did these things to him before we listen to a kid, bro. There's kids out here that say these type of things, and these type of people are what allows this type of stuff to go un. She probably has tried to call out and tell family members, and this is the type of response she got, bro. This is crazy. This is crazy. I don't want to say that every kid is telling the truth and they not lying, but I think more often than not, a kid will tell the truth than not tell the truth or something like this, because a lot of times they'll feel scared to say it. This is crazy, bro. This is why kids be scared to say things like this, because doubt from family members and
she had all rights, all many years to get up and do something about it or say something.
2 years after her arraignment for second-degree murder, Bridget went to trial in September 2009. Testifying in her own defense, Bridget stated that she had researched the 1993 castration case of John and Lorena Bobbitt. Bridget argued that her motive for the killing was not revenge, but to take away his weapon, an act to prevent Eric from taking his grandchildren to Liberia and most likely them. However, prosecutors maintained that Bridget's actions towards her father showed premeditation.
I mean, it did. It did, man. It did. I mean, I said that earlier in the video, man, but I think, bro, this is what I feel like. This is why I don't like the justice system. I feel like every situation is different, and just having everything under a broad umbrella is hard because every situation is different, bro. I think there's exceptions, bro. She shows obvious, like, signs of problems and abuse, and she has her sister to back up it, and all you need is 2 kids. They're not making this up. You don't do that for no reason. You don't cut your but everything she said, if you told me what she went through and it was like, what do you think she did, that would be one of the things that I would think, because that is like, it's not logical, but it makes sense. Like, I don't know, man, this is crazy.
On the 30th of September 2009, the jury found Bridget guilty of the lesser included offense of second-degree manslaughter. One juror reported, "None of us felt that she deserved to get any murder charges, so we decided on second-degree manslaughter." Despite receiving letters from 7 of the jurors asking him to give her no more jail time, mean old Queen's Supreme Court Judge Arthur Cooperman sentenced Bridget to a maximum of 5 to 15 years in prison.
She was tortured. She was beaten until she had open wounds, and her family made her get red hot pepper and stick it in the wounds, stick it in every orifice of her body. You know, they say you do the crime, you have to do the time. Unfortunately for Bridget, it was the other way around. She's been doing time until she did the crime.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. I'm just saying, like, all these things built up to her doing something. She had to spend 15 years of her life going through this torture, 2 years of which she was a baby, so she wouldn't even have any conscious memory of it. So basically, all of her conscious life, she went through all these problems. She had finally got to a point in life where she was okay and doing better for herself. And then she literally has to witness her not grandchildren, her little nieces getting ready to go through the same situation as her. So she put a stop to it, and now she got to spend another 5 to 15 years in prison.
The jury convicted Harris of manslaughter, but they urged the judge to show leniency given the horrific past they heard on the stand. On Friday, the judge sentenced her to 5 to 15 years. With 27 months already spent behind bars, she'll be eligible for parole in about a year.
I am very upset about it. I felt she should be less free. I felt that she had enough. She's been abused all her life, and it's time for her to be able to get a fair share in life.
In a nearly unprecedented move, the same jurors pleaded for leniency. George Sarakis is one of them.
She's not a threat to society that needs to be kept in prison.
Charles Marshall, another.
If there's anyone who needs something good to happen to her in her life, it is Miss Harris.
Yes, man, see, he said it. This guy right here said it perfect. The white guy, like, bro, she's not a threat to society. She's not a threat to the public. I mean, in theory, she is if she sees something triggering. But if she sees something triggering, it's probably something bad, because all the things that would trigger her are bad things that shouldn't be happening. So I mean, she's not a threat. There's terrible people that's walking freely. So.
Wrote letters to the judge were moved by what happened before the crime.
This young woman has been through a great deal.
I remembered the doll that I had.
Keep in mind the horrible things that she has been through.
I was wearing these like daisy printed underwear of yellow flowers.
It began at the age of 3.
It was constant abuse, whether physical or sexual.
Years of torture, years of abuse, she says, at the hands of her father.
I would get hit with anything from canes to fists, belts.
A number of people called him a monster.
Yeah. Would you call
her
him
grandma, same as her dad, both is wicked people
pain
too.
And loneliness, always wanting to run away, never having the courage to run away.
Consider giving Bridget Harris the lowest possible sentence.
Judge, please be lenient.
8 jurors wrote letters on her behalf. 4 attended the sentencing. Her lawyer moved as well, handled her case for free.
Their reaction immediately after
See, man, this is crazy. All these people, who is this judge, man?
They surrounded me on the courthouse steps and just said, please make sure Bridget gets the help she needs from a psychological point of view. And I said, fine, I will when she gets out of jail. And they were very surprised that she was going to go to jail. And they volunteered to do whatever they could to prevent that from happening.
Now they've kept their word to help her to be released from prison as early as the law will allow.
She made her mistake.
The stuff she had went through all her life from a little girl, I just figured she needed a break in life.
I just wanted to help her. I mean, throughout her life, she hasn't really had anyone that helped her, so.
Miss Harris just needs a chance to start over.
Looking back now, knowing what you're facing, hard time, would you have done this?
It's not something that obviously was rational thinking, and no, I would find other means of trying to bring him to justice.
I mean, chop it off back to back, again.
Abuse will go on.
If he's done it to you, he's going to do it to someone else.
Bridget Harris tells me she decided to take the violent action after seeing her father with her young nieces on his lap. She says she believed he was planning to move the children out of the country to live with him and just wouldn't let that happen. Christine.
As far as early as the law will allow, when is the soonest she could possibly be released?
With time served in about 2 years. She'll be before the parole board.
More prison.
After serving 3 years, she was released on parole on the 13th of August, 2012. Since her release, Bridget has worked with the advocacy group Steps to End Family Violence.
Nice.
She also worked for DoorDash delivering food on her bike and volunteered for an organization called Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, where she picks up leftover food from restaurants and bakeries and delivers it to homeless shelters and food pantries around.
See, man, a good person, a beautiful heart that just needed. Bro, just think if she grew up in a loving, amazing family, what more change she could have done. She seemed like a great person with a great heart. Just happened to be born into a world full of monsters.
In a letter, Bridget wrote, I know second chances don't come easy, and not everyone thinks I should have one. There are family members and friends that no longer speak to me. There are strangers that are scared of me. And in society, there's a lot of rejection. I went back and forth with Amazon for a month, applying for a job delivering groceries. After I provided recommendations and told them my side of the story, they sent me a letter telling me they could not hire me. New York City wouldn't even give me a job picking up garbage and cleaning graffiti during the pandemic. All the rejection is frustrating and discouraging. It feels as though even though I've paid my debt to society and did my time, the world continues to punish me. But even if the same happens to you, keep pushing forward. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it happen. I will get my second chance at life, my second chance at happiness, and you can too. If someone abuses you, let go of the guilt. As a child, abuse is so hard to process and understand. But what I want you to know, it is not your fault.
Don't know if that song's copyright, but ooh, that was a crazy video. Ooh, that was a crazy one. I ain't gonna lie, bro. That was a crazy video. I ain't gonna lie. That probably was one of the craziest videos I've watched. Like I genuinely lost for words, and I think I said more than enough with throughout the video about how I feel about the situation. But y'all boys, let me know in the comments how y'all feel. I ain't gonna lie. This is probably one of the saddest stories I've heard, and I don't even know how I'm gonna title this video because I think I thought it was gonna be a crazy situation where the dad was not in the wrong and it was like not justified at all. But I would feel like a evil person if I said no matter what happened, she shouldn't have done this because, bro, you can't, bro. When someone's going, it's easy for us with a right mind to say how someone should react to something like this, but bro, when you going through something like this, man, bruh, the right thing to do is probably harder to do than the wrong thing, which is like that for a lot of situations. But in this situation, bro, I can't even say with a straight mouth that she should have did another way, cause bro, this stuff is horror. But until next time I see y'all boys in another video, man, I hope the next video is a little light than this one, but we gonna see, man. I'll talk to y'all boys in the next video. I love y'all boys. We out. Peace. Y'all.